Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Relationship Mastery Series. We're going to focus on the principles of a passionate relationship and life and dynamite families this morning, or this afternoon, or tonight, wherever you may be. I've gathered 25 experts actually from all over the world who are going to be sharing their experience and their knowledge around this topic. And I'm really looking forward to today, particularly. We have on the show Mike Goldstein, and I've been looking forward to having you on this show, Mike. And just so my audience knows, Mike is a one-on-one dating coach. He's the founder of Easy Dating Coach, and he likes to help women and men find love efficiently. And I want to emphasize efficiently, as that's very important. He's been featured on the Today Show, the Star Ledger, Reader's Digest, Shape Magazine, and an interesting number, 83% of Mike's clients enter relationships during coaching. And he currently has 100% client satisfaction rating. So that's quite remarkable. Mike is also an online dating expert, and he uses data from multiple major prime sites to collect data to be able to help his clients be in the top 5% of online daters. So, Mike, I'm really happy to have you on board today, and been looking forward to this. I love your numbers. I love your whole focus on efficiency. Again, welcome.
Alan, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and get to talk about online dating. How exciting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to jump right in so we can, I know the audience is waiting and with interested ears and eyes. And so tell us a little bit to start off, Mike. How did you happen to get into this whole dating and relationship field?
Oh, yeah. Great question. So probably about 10 years ago, I was dating someone and thought I was going to get married. I was in love. And unfortunately, she cheated on me with one of my very close friends.
Ouch.
Yes, ouch. I was devastated, crying my eyes out for 3 months. And finally, I picked myself up and I started reading every book imaginable on dating, sex, love, relationships, and just kept reading, and finally got over it. And then my friends were like, wow, you're pretty good at this. Maybe you can help me out. Started helping friends out. I got 6 friends married. And then I started studying online dating and looking at the best people at it and studying.
I bet you started getting a lot more friends too.
Maybe. And then also around that time, I started working on online dating methodology, and that was getting people into relationships at a crazy rate of 83%. And then about 3 years ago, the online dating sites noticed that I had such a successful process that they said, well, why don't we give you some data and some analytics behind it, and then we'll really back up your methodology. So fast forward, we've been getting more people married, and the process has really, gotten exciting and gotten a lot of notice.
I can imagine. I mean, that's wonderful. That's a very nice contribution, Mike. So I'm interested in hearing more about the details, and I know our viewers are about this efficiency thing. How do you get that kind of efficiency? What online dating sites should people be using?
Great question. So let me give the all-encompassing answer.
Okay.
The first part of it is if you're looking for a specific niche, then obviously you do need to go to that niche site because you'll have greater success looking for what you specifically want. But if you're just a general dater, looking for someone to fall in love with, I love OkCupid, and that's where my process can have the most success. And reason being is the 2 guys who started it are from Harvard, and they created a great algorithm. And instead of reinventing the wheel and building my own algorithm, theirs is actually highly effective. And what we found is that if you go after people that have a 90% or higher match percentage, 85% of the time, you're going to have a good conversation on a date. And so what we found is using my process, you actually only need to meet about 6 to 8 people to find someone that you want to start pursuing exclusivity with.
Oh, wow. That's a very interesting process. So, so this is something that, as you said, if you're looking for a real particular niche, then you may want to go to that side. But other than that, this side is something that actually has paid dividends to your clients for some time now.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. So now when it gets into, people are always, and I know I'm getting questions about this from both friends and clients about, their photos and their profile. And so how do you go about selecting the right profile picture?
Oh, Alan, that is a great question. Actually, everything I'm about to tell you is based from some of the major online dating sites giving me their data. None of this is my opinion. So this is just all pure facts and numbers. So it's some simple stuff. The first thing, there's 6 things. No one in the picture with you, especially the opposite gender. And I think that can make sense. Even if you're a woman and you put a picture with your brother, men, we're jealous and we're going to be like, that must be a boyfriend. And, I'm already competing with millions on this site. I don't need to compete with someone this close. So that's how our mindset works. So just pictures by yourself. And then we found that you actually get more messages if your picture is as close to square as possible. So kind of how you're looking at my image and I'm kind of right in the middle. That's a good thing. You want to be in the middle, nice and square. You get more messages.
That's interesting.
And then you don't want to be too far or too close to the camera. And believe it or not, it's a very small distance that you want to be. You only want 8 to 15% of the entire surface area to be your face. So what I mean by face is this, not counting hair. And so that should be the entire size of the picture, 8 to 15% of this entire surface area. You'll get more messages.
So that then sounds like getting not just a headshot, but really getting a whole body shot, and that percentage would be the head area. Yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect. You hit the nail on the head on that, Alan.
And, okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was wondering if you have anything more to say about the photos, or
I do.
Okay, I thought
Two
you
more
might.
points. So in terms of you want to use as many photos as possible, and at least 6. But we found if you use like for example, OkCupid, you can use 10. If you use the full 10, you're going to get more messages than the person who uses less.
Wow, that's interesting.
Small caveat: if you're at picture 8 and 9 and 10 are not so good, you're going to do better with just the 8. So common sense kind of plays into it as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the mix, so if there's 10 photos, you want 80% where you look absolutely stunning, gorgeous, and then 20% maybe focused on varied situations. I mean, ideally, all 100% have varied situations, but that's not always possible. So we call it the 80-20 rule. So 80 of your pictures are, oh my God, you look so stunning, amazing, gorgeous. And then 20% are, maybe you're skiing, you're hiking, or whatever activity you like to do. You're traveling, just something that shows, wow, I get this gorgeous, gorgeous person. And then if we got together, look at the life we could have. We could be traveling, climbing Machu Picchu, or we could be skiing or hiking. Like, this person looks magnificent. I must message them.
So begin giving images that fit into the possible vision that this other person has.
Yeah, absolutely. A vision. You're painting a story of what your life could be together.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how about like getting to the profile? what should that profile look like?
Phenomenal question, Alan. So the profile, I'm only going to give you one piece of advice because this is the biggest game changer. Of course, there's a lot to it, but all you really need to do is just be specific. And what I mean by that is, let me give you a bad example. So people will write in their self-summary, my friends would say I'm nice, I'm genuine, I'm a good person, and just a laundry list of adjectives.
Uh-huh.
And I hate adjectives, Alan. Hate them. Because when you say nice and I say nice, they can mean two very different things. For example, like I live right outside New York City, and let's say a nice person sees a bum on the street and they give him $1. That's pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
Or your definition of nice may be, well, you go see a bum, you pick him up, you take him to Olive Garden, you go buy him a chicken parmesan, you talk to him about his career opportunities and how he could get a job, how he could improve his life, how he could get a house. And all of a sudden you're working with him every week so that he gets there. And you're doing this all pro bono. And Alan's a nice guy and gets this guy off the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty nice.
That's pretty nice.
So I'd rather hear the story about a person so that we get to learn who they are and be specific versus generalities and adjectives.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love people that really paint pictures and go very, like OkCupid, for example, asks, on a typical Friday night, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And I love a person that says, I get home from work at 5 p.m. Because, that's a big thing. Are you living the lifestyle where you're home at like 11 o'clock from work? Or are you at the point where you don't work as much? And then, are you cooking dinner? Are you going out to your favorite restaurant? And so then what are you cooking? Like, oh, you cook a healthy, quinoa, brown rice, vegetable, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, what do you watch? What do you do? Oh, I watch 2 episodes of Law and Order on Netflix, and then I'm in bed by 11. I wake up at 7. I go on a 5-mile run. And now it's like, wow, this is what, not only do we see the pictures, but now we have this story that's in written text that says, if we have a life together, like, is this when I go to bed? Is this when I like to wake up? Do I like to run? Do I eat healthy? Like, could our lives merge? And that's what I want to know. Can our lives merge, and can this actually work? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot, and I'm sure for some of our audience, that's like a real game changer, as you're saying it. Because very often, you read the profiles and you've got all these adjectives or things, and you end up, you're still not quite sure. But when you get into those stories, the person who's reading them, they already have a vision. They may not even be totally conscious of it, of what they envision they would love their life to be like in the future. And if you're telling a story that fits that, they're going to feel that in their heart right away. Yeah, that's excellent. Now you mentioned something about match percent. What in the world is match percent? That's an unfamiliar term to me.
Great question. So match percentage on OkCupid is just how likely you are to be compatible. And the way they get that data is you answer questions for them. And the questions would be like, what's more important to you, love or sex right now, for example? Mm-hmm. And then you'd say, I want love. And then they'd give you a sliding scale of it's a little important, somewhat important, or very important. And that's what they use to weight your question. So if you put it's very important, then they really skew that into the algorithm and make it heavily weighted. And so what I suggest to my clients is answer 200 of them. You'll have some good data. And then when you look at potential people, you want to go after people that are 90% or higher, ideally.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense. I mean, certainly from my field of clinical psychology, that makes a great deal more sense than some of the things that you see that are out there. This whole process, particularly in terms of dating, can end up consuming a person's life. I know some individuals where that is. They're spending hours and hours and hours. And then there's the other extreme where someone is spending a few minutes and they say they're really interested in finding a relationship. So what's your sense about how much time is a reasonable and an effective amount of time for a person to be spending online in terms of dating sites and doing that whole process?
Phenomenal question. And it's very different. Now, is most of the audience female or male for this video?
They're mostly female, but there definitely are male also.
Okay, great. So I'll answer for both sides. So if the females that are using my strategy, I only ask them to use an hour and a half a week, which is not much at all. Versus men, my strategy actually, I would have to do a completely different strategy for them, and it's not as efficient. And unfortunately, it's not as great for them. So men could spend, 3 hours all the way up to like 5 or 6 to get the same results, and potentially more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why a lot of my, my methodology is really for women, because it's just so amazing that we can be so efficient. But men are going to have to write a well-crafted message. And on the flip side, women can get away with kind of sending a blast email that just gets copy and pasted and be just as successful. But men will get 0 hits if they try that.
Right. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense to me, because being a man and knowing my buddies and everything, we're much less likely to even have a real clue about what it is we're needing and wanting. So we take a lot more work and a lot more educating, and which I think is a very important thing for all the women out there to know. We take a lot of educating, and if you've got the right guy, he's educatable, but don't expect him to start off at 100%.
Got that right. I know my girlfriend, it took her a long time to get me trained to do the right things.
Yeah, and that's a big part of it. It's very often not that we don't know, although we have this thing about we're supposed to know how to do everything and to do it right, and if we don't do it right, then the ego gets involved. But the truth of the matter is, there's so much when it comes to relationship that men trail women, and so it's important to acknowledge that and to be aware of that. And that even adds a little underline to, one of the reasons that painting a story that creates a picture, if a man gets that, he's apt to be attracted before he even knows exactly what it is that's attracting him. But as you get into the relationship, if he's attracted to that, then he's probably the right guy, if the picture you're painting is something that's drawing him in.
Yep, that's perfect.
Now, another question I get from my clients in terms of around the issue about sending messages, should the woman just sit back and be totally passive, and or should they send messages? What's your point of view on that?
Oh, I love that question. And for so long, it's been so taboo that women need to let men chase them. And really online, it's a whole nother planet that we're not used to. But women need to message men if they want to be effective. And really, it's the best thing for society, because men are sending countless messages. So women, here's the frustration men are having. They're sending crazy amounts of messages and not getting responses. And then you're getting frustrated on the flip side because men are writing not great messages. And they've been positively reinforced to, or not negatively reinforced to, basically not care about their message, because they're like, why am I going to spend time on this message? Because I'm not going to get a response anyway. So they're just doing the bare minimum, and you're like, what is this garbage message? But anyway, women, on the other hand, if you send a message, men on average are getting 1, maybe 2 messages a week. So you have no or minimal competition. So when you send a message on a major site, not counting Bumble, on OkCupid, for example, he's got a clear palette. Like if you're getting, many women are getting 5 to 10 a day, he's getting 1 to 2 a week. So he's got this like inbox that's ready to rock and roll. And when he finally gets your message, he's like, yes, I'm going to look into this. And women, on the other hand, are spending maybe 5-10 seconds dismissing, or maybe even 2 seconds sometimes. Ooh, that message is bad. Not reading it. But a guy's like, oh my God, I got one. I'm going to read this. And this is great. I might have a love interest. And so then he's like, whoa, look at the pictures. I'm going to read the entire profile. I never get messages. I'm going to look into this. And finally, he comes up with a decision after probably spending about 10 minutes, 15 minutes reading the whole thing, looking at the pictures. I mean, this is an exciting time for him. He got a message.
Well, that's, I think, very valuable information. There are pieces of that kind of brought me to some alertness around that differential is something I actually wasn't even that aware of. And if that's experience and the data is showing that, then it makes an awful lot of sense for the woman to be sending those messages. Now, in those messages, what kind of things should they be communicating? And I'm talking like particularly for women at this point.
Absolutely. So I talked about how women can kind of do a blast email. And let me go back a little bit. So women can get away with this because, like I said, men are not getting many messages. Mm-hmm. And so even if it is a generic thing, the guy is going to respond if the woman makes sense for him. So the whole process should look like a woman should start by looking at thumbnail pictures based on match percentage. So she's already filled out her 200 questions. She's going after guys 90% or higher. And as long as she finds a guy that is a thumbnail picture that on a scale of attractiveness is a 4 or higher out of 10. And let me explain why we're doing that.
4 or higher,
there was a scientific experiment done about 15 years ago where they had men and women rating attractiveness. So you'd rate attractiveness. So for example, a woman would look at a picture, give a guy a 4. Then they'd let them talk to the person, get to know his personality. And women that had amazing conversations would then move the guy to an 8 on attractiveness. Or on the flip side, a 4, terrible personality, went down to a 0. So they figured out in the science experiment that women could move attractiveness of men 4 basis points up or down. On the flip side, men could only move women based on personality 1 basis point. But anyway, so what we learned from women is that you might as well go after guys that meet your emotional needs that are at least a 4, because what I've found is most people get married to someone that the attraction is an 8 and the compatibility is a 10 out of 10. So anyway, you got a thumbnail picture that's at least a 4 and, of course goes higher. You message this guy and you give him a chance. And so what the message says, what we've been using, and you can adjust this to whatever you feel most comfortable with, but hi, I hope you're doing well. How is your week going? When you get a free moment, let me know if you'd like to grab a drink sometime. Amanda.
Okay. That definitely, in terms of, as you were saying, the general thing that's out there is like being quite forward for the woman to make that kind of a message, rather than waiting for the man to make the offer to actually make the contact.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, in terms of men sending a message, what sort of message do you recommend that men send? Because you were talking about how a lot of them are pretty unconscious and meaningless to the women.
Correct. So there's a total contrast. So the women can literally send that blast email to 50 guys in 20 minutes. And that's the methodology and process I teach. But men, on the other hand, they got to search for one they're attracted to. So find a woman that they're attracted to, and then read a profile and be like, oh, this makes sense. And when it finally does make sense, then think of a message or something that ties you together. So like if she plays soccer, for example, and you play soccer, be like, oh, what team do you play for? Or I play for this team and I love soccer. And just ask them an open-ended question, but have something that ties you together. proves that you put some effort in, because women are looking for men that put in effort. And if you put in some effort, it means you're probably serious about looking for love in a relationship, and you read the profile, and you're not just commenting on, hey, you're beautiful, or I love your eyes, or whatever. That's not going to get you anywhere. So being very specific and tying you guys together somehow.
That makes sense. Yeah. Now, I'm curious about something too, in terms of like knowing how these things turn out with the clients that you're working with. How do you go about determining that something ends up in an actual date where they meet and have that that next step beyond just the messaging going back and forth?
So in terms of my clients, I'm usually working with them for 6 months. So they'll, we're meeting once every 2 weeks. So they'll report back, be like, hey, I sent 50 messages, 12 of them wrote back to me, and then I went on a date with like 2 of them. So they'll just tell me.
I see. Okay, it's not part of a tracking kind of thing that's done with the online itself, particularly.
So like the eHarmonies, the OkCupids, and the Matches, they have a process that they do.
Right.
I wouldn't be able to fully talk about it because they have a certain way of trying to figure it out. There's no exact science for them, I know for a fact, but they do have a pretty good way of doing it, and they will send me the results, but I'm not sure exactly how they do it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was just wondering for more directly your own experience. It sounds like yours is much more the direct contact that you have in the coaching relationship, and so you're getting that information.
Yeah, I guess the one downfall of my data set from my clients is it's not as big as what like an eHarmony or a Match can produce. So when they get it, the data may not be as perfect as mine, but there's so much of it that it can be pretty comprehensive as well.
Yeah, and it can leave you pretty much at sea sometimes.
Yes.
Too much information here. Where I hear what you're doing, and something that I really appreciate about your work and what you're contributing to people that are looking is that there is a way to actually optimize your efficiency. And if you pay attention to those things, it can make a huge difference in terms of really connecting with that person that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Now, if there was one tip that you would offer the audience in terms of success in their finding their dream relationship, what might that be?
I'm going to put it in 2 things. So first, I'm just going to reiterate, the most important thing you can do on online dating, and I plead with everyone to do it, is really spend a lot of time being super, super specific on your profile and really making a clear picture of who you are. So if you think about like, I am these 5 types of things, well, how am I going to show that in a very specific manner? Like, are you like, for example, when I wrote my profile a million years ago, like I would portray like, I work out 5 times a week and this is what I eat, so that everyone understands that that's important. Like I live a healthy lifestyle, and this is what that means to me.
Right.
And so, and that even differentiates between like the super, like, I'm vegan, I'm not vegan, but the vegan people may be like, all right, he's kind of there. And so they may not even be interested in that. Maybe the vegan people just want vegan people. And why I love this is it increases efficiency for everyone. So if someone is okay, someone wants to eat everything, and, that might not work. Maybe we couldn't even go to a restaurant together. And so being super specific in what you want will help weed out people. And especially for women that are getting 5 to 10 messages a week, if you can increase your specificity, you're going to increase your quality of messages. And you'll increase your efficiency in terms of meeting the right person. Because, you're still going to get some terrible messages from guys that don't make sense. But the ones that do make sense, it's going to work out a lot better because they truly understand who you are.
Right, right.
So that's being specific is extremely important. The second thing is an add-on to that message I sent. So the women are saying, hey, would you like to grab a drink sometime?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't feel comfortable to go out on that date right away, in the next statement when he says, yes, I would love to get a drink. And now that you've had some free time, you go look, or you know that he's interested, because we don't spend any time looking at a profile before we send the blast email just by looking at their thumbnail picture. So now we've sent the message, he's come back, he says yes, spend some time reading the profile, look at the match percentage, look at the pictures. If it all makes sense and you want to go on the date, by all means, say, great, why don't you pick a spot for us? He becomes the man again, he finds the restaurant. Or if you're not comfortable, like I said, you can say, wonderful, how about we talk on the phone for 10 minutes, and then at the end of that, we'll figure out the logistics of the date. And this is phenomenal because men love a start and a finish to when things are going to happen. So if you can say, like, we're going to talk on the phone at 8 o'clock on Thursday for 10 minutes, men love that. And we're not going to get discouraged. If it's like, hold on, we were supposed to go on a date, now I'm got downgraded to a phone call, that's bad. But if he knows, all right, we're going to talk for 10 minutes and then we're going to figure out where we're going, he can get his mind on that. He can stay focused. He'll keep moving forward with you. And then the other piece of that is make sure you set up a very specific time. Not like, hey, I'll call you on Thursday night. Well, what happens if you miss it? It's got to be Thursday, 8 o'clock, or I can do Tuesday at 8 o'clock, and you set it up specifically.
Right, right.
And that's beautiful. It'll happen at a higher likelihood that it will happen. Obviously, some people disappear, and then you're ready to rock and roll.
Right, right. That's great, great advice. And gosh, I'm aware the time is just flying by. I knew it would. And we're going to need to wind up soon. But before we wind up, I know that you have a free gift that you want to offer our audience. And so I'd love to have you let everyone know what the free gift is. And so you know there'll be a link right after this interview. And you can click on that link and receive Mike's free gift. And so, Mike, tell them what you're going to be giving.
Guys, I am so excited about this free gift. This is my chupacabra of advice. I spent 10 years building this. This is my online dating methodology. It will teach you how to find a high-quality man in 3 easy steps. And the main reason you've been choosing the wrong men, literally, it's really short, which is great. It's like a page and a half, but it's got 10 years worth of data, worth of trying things, worth of switching things.
All right. Short and sweet and to the point.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Also, if you keep clicking through it, I can't believe I'm giving this away, Alan, but I'm giving 15 minutes of free complimentary dating advice with me on the phone. And what's awesome about this is you can talk about anything you want. Like, we don't have to talk about online dating. We can talk about, why you're choosing the wrong men, what's going on in your profile. You want to spend some time on that. What's going on in your current relationship, why men disappear, whatever you want, we're going to do it. Instead of this general advice, we're going to talk about your problems and we're going to get into it for a few minutes, and we'll try to help you.
Fantastic. That's a wonderful gift. So, folks, remember, right after the interview, watch for that link and click on that link. And for people that may want to be in touch with you and find out more information, Mike, what is the contact information they could also use?
Yeah, so my website is the letter E, the letter Z, easydatingcoach.com. So easydatingcoach.com. I have a very rampant YouTube channel. I put out 1 video a week. Go on there. I have a Facebook, Twitter. You can find it all on there. And I would love to connect with you guys. Send me a message, whatever you guys want to do. I'm here and always excited to help people.
That's fabulous. Okay. And again, I want to thank you, Mike. And I really appreciate what you're doing and what you're sharing out there in terms of helping people that really want to be in relationship to be able to get there, and supporting them in that mission for themselves. And that's beautiful work to be doing, and very important work. And I want to thank the audience for being here today with us. And so I look forward to our further contact, Mike. And this is Alan Darbonne. And in closing, I want to remind you each that the planet really needs your type of love and your light. So please bring your kindness and speak your truth. Thank you. Bye-bye.